At 17, I walked into my own birthday dinner and realized I was a guest at a table that used to be mine. The dining room still smelled of my favorite cedar candles and roasted garlic. There were 12 seats, 11 of them occupied. One was empty, but not for me. That seat belonged to Mia, my younger, and according to my mother, better cousin than I. I stood in the doorway of the room, waiting for anyone to say, "Happy birthday." No one looked up, not until Mia nodded, confused. "Oh, you're here." My mother gave me a look, not warm or guilty, just calculating. "I didn't think you'd come," she said coolly. "This wasn't really for you." My voice came out firmer than I expected. "Why is she in my seat?" My brother James didn't even hesitate with his fork. "You're no longer on the board, Ava. It's been a year." Dad updated his will. "You should have read your emails." I blinked, uncomprehending. "What?" Silence. Mia picked up the bread basket, avoiding my gaze. My mother didn't respond. Instead, she poured herself a glass of wine and said, "Let's not ruin the evening." I left, still wearing the gold bracelet my father had given me when I was 13, the one that said, "Legacy first." I didn't cry. I opened my laptop that night and tried to access the portal for the family trust. Invalid username. My own name no longer worked. And in that moment, I realized they weren't ignoring me. They had erased me. 9 years later, I wasn't planning on coming home. Not for the holidays, not for my mother's birthday, not for anything. I was folding napkins in the back of a banquet hall in Boston, in the middle of a double shift, when my phone vibrated. Subject: Fontana Foundation Gala, final confirmations. I almost deleted it, but something in me, muscle memory maybe, made me open it. The sender was jessicafontana.org. I hadn't seen that domain in years. I scrolled down. Attached was a glossy brochure for the event. 3 rows of photos of smiling faces, a sea of last names I used to call family. And there, in the second row center, was Mia, wearing the navy blue gown my mother used to wear to galas, honoring Mia Fontana, the future director of legacy programs for young people. Below the photo was a quote from her: "Our family believes in shaping leaders through unity and tradition." Unity? Tradition? I choked on a laugh. My name wasn't on the list, of course not. Not as a guest, not as an heir. But at the bottom of the email, where they listed previous contacts, there was something odd: Ava F. archived email list. Someone had checked the wrong box. Someone had left a door open. I pressed print, folded the flyer, and tucked it into my purse as evidence. That night, I opened a folder I hadn't touched in years. Screenshots, contracts, clauses, names. A folder labeled "What They Forgot." Inside, I found something even better than evidence. An unsigned clause from my grandmother's trust fund, with my name still intact. They'd erased me from the party, but they'd forgotten to erase me from power. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in my waitress uniform, holding that printed flyer like it owed me something. It didn't, and neither did they. For years, I'd told myself it was over, that they'd made their choice and I'd made mine: survival, independence, silence. But the flyer wouldn't leave me alone. Mia's smile burned through the paper like it knew. I opened the manila folder I kept under my mattress. My roommate had once asked if they were old tax returns. Almost. Inside were fingerprints, scribbled notes, screenshots of trust documents from before they locked me out, a photo of me and my grandmother, the last woman who actually said my name without hesitation. And then a letter. It was addressed to Miss Ava Fontana of the Fontana Law Firm, dated 8 years ago, unopened. I tore open the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a draft amendment to the trust. There were 2 versions, one with my name crossed out and one without. It was unstampable, unfinalized. I should have closed the folder, should have gone to sleep, but my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "They're naming Mia as heir at the gala. Your name is still buried in the paperwork. I figured you deserved a chance to speak before they bury that too. GD." I stared at the screen. GD. I hadn't heard that name since I was 17. George Davis, the family's former accountant, who had been fired the same year I disappeared. And just like that, the silence was broken. They thought they'd buried me in paperwork, but they'd forgotten that some ghosts keep receipts. I arrived in Vermont at sunrise, the kind of sunrise that used to mean something. Family ski trips, Christmas cards, legacy. Now, just cold light through a cracked windshield and an Airbnb host who'd left his key under a rock. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I didn't need to. The land remembered me, even if people tried not to. Instead of heading straight to the hotel where the gala was being held, I drove to a small cabin on the edge of Fontana Lake, my grandmother's cabin. Technically, it was now owned by the foundation, but no one had touched it, not since her funeral. They couldn't sell it. She'd put a strange clause in her will. This house will remain untouched unless opened by someone who knows where the cracked frame is. I knew. It was in the hallway second on the left, just above the antique mirror. A picture of us, me at 8 years old, holding her hand, wearing her pearls. The frame had a crack in the back, and behind it, carefully taped, was a folded note. If you're reading this, they tried to erase you, but you're still a Fontana and they don't get to decide who carries that name. Inside was a small brass key and an original copy of the Fontana. I trusted the original, before all the editing. My name was there, bold, legally intact. Ava Lisa Fontana, direct line, second beneficiary. They thought I'd forgotten who I was. They didn't expect me to return to the one person who never asked me to prove anything. They didn't expect the paper trail she left. And they certainly didn't expect me to remember where it all began. I didn't want a new dress, I wanted that dress. The one my mother wore when she cut the ribbon on the first Fontana Foundation building, the one I remembered from the newspaper clipping that used to hang in my childhood bedroom, before they replaced it with pictures of Mia. Midnight navy, floor length, modest neckline, power stitched into every seam. I found it at a high-end thrift store in town. The owner gasped when I pulled it off the rack in the back. Oh, this is one of the originals. It belonged to the Fontana family. I smiled softly. Yes, I know. I didn't correct her when she said it used to be Mia's grandmother's dress, because technically it was, but now it was mine. I rented a room in a small inn 2 blocks from the gala. I didn't bother with valet parking or red carpet treatment. I wasn't going to walk in the front door. I called in a favor from a makeup artist I'd served wine for at a fundraiser in Boston. She owed me. She made me look like a memory, not modern, not trendy, but recognizable, like a photo someone had shoved into a drawer but couldn't bring herself to throw away. Before I left, I stuffed 2 things into my clutch, a printed copy of the trust agreement with my name on it and a folded note from my grandmother. Then I looked in the mirror, not to admire myself, but to say goodbye to the version of myself that thought silence was safer. Tonight, I wasn't going to get an apology, I was going to get the microphone. I walked into the Fontana Foundation Gala at 7:41 p.m., not through the front but through the employee entrance. A waiter held the door open. He didn't ask for my name, just looked at me like he was sure I belonged somewhere important. He just couldn't remember where. That was the point. The ballroom was a polished lie. Crystal chandeliers, gold accents on white linen, guests sipping champagne and praising each other's legacies. I floated between the tables like smoke. No name tag, no assigned seat, but eyes followed me. A few people squinted, as if trying to identify me, maybe from school, maybe from a newspaper from years ago. At the welcome desk, I picked up a gala program. I opened it. 3 pages of honorees. Mia had a whole column. Rising leader, mentor, inherited vision. I wasn't there, of course not. Then I noticed the legacy wall. A hallway lined with framed photos of 3 generations of Fontanas, founders, donors, family portraits. I walked slowly, row after row. My mother as a young girl, my brothers, Mia in her prep school uniform. Then I saw it. A frame hung slightly askew. The brass plaque read Fontana Kids 2009 Family Day, but the photo inside was wrong, too much white space on the left. I looked closer. Whoever had updated it had cropped me out. The original was still dimly visible through the rear window. And behind the frame, hanging loose, was the real picture, the whole picture, me in the center. But someone had taken a red pen and drawn an X on my face. I didn't cry. I took a picture and inserted the USB into the audio-video laptop behind the curtain. If they wanted to erase me from the show, I would simply write my own chapter. They say every gala has its moment. Mine began at 8:32 p.m. Mia had just taken the stage, draped in white satin, and the family's attention followed her. Applause rippled through the room like polite thunder. The MC leaned into the microphone. "Tonight, we honor a new generation, a woman of grace, vision, and the Fontana name in its entirety." The lights dimmed for the introduction video. Except it wasn't the video they were expecting. Instead of Mia's carefully curated montage, the screens flickered and then went black. A voice filled the room, Maine. Clear, calm, undeniable. "Some of you know me. Some of you have been told to forget me." Heads turned. Some gasped. Others just stared. "My name is Ava Lisa Fontana. I was born into this family, raised in this room, ate at that table, wore that bracelet, won that scholarship. And then I was erased." Behind me on the screen, the old family photo appeared, unedited, me front and center, smiling, alive. Then came the version they had replaced it with, cropped, erased. Murmurs spread. Then came the trust document, my name, my legal status, uncrossed out, valid, still binding. I walked to the side of the stage, the spotlight catching the navy blue of my dress, my mother's dress. You can't erase someone and still keep their legacy. You can't silence a child and call it unity. You can't pretend tradition over a broken truth. Someone in the crowd clapped, then another. Mia was frozen, her note cards shaking. My mother was rigid, her knuckles white from gripping her glass. And I didn't wait for permission, I just said what I came to say. "I'm not here to take anything away. I'm here to remind you that it's always been mine." Silence isn't always empty. Sometimes it's louder than applause. That's what filled the ballroom after I spoke. No one moved. No one clinked a glass. No polite laugh or fake cough to change the mood, until my mother stood. She didn't rush, she glided, as if she was still in control of the narrative, as if the story hadn't just been ripped from her hands. She approached Mia, one hand on the podium, the other on her pearls. "Ava, darling," she said, her voice velvety and brittle, "this isn't the place." I met her eyes. "So where has the place been all these years?" She forced a practiced smile. "We can talk after the event. Let's not make a scene." "You already have," I said. "You just didn't expect me to show up at it." Behind us, the screen still showed the document, the clauses with my name, legally stamped, undeniable. Then came the sound no one had expected. A chair scraped. A man stood up in the back. George Davis, GD, former accountant, exiled when he asked too many questions. He held up a folder. "The Foundation's books don't lie, but people do. And I kept copies." My mother paled. Mia hissed, "This is slander. She's just here for attention." I didn't move. "I'm here for the truth." The attention just followed her. A woman near the front stood, then a man near the doors, and finally someone started applauding again. But it wasn't for Mia this time. It wasn't for the legacy. It was for justice. And justice didn't come with hugs and handshakes. It came with files, with names, with wait, not an apology, a gavel. The morning after the gala, my phone rang 4 times before I'd even had my coffee. Unknown number, voicemail, repeat. By noon, I had 11 missed calls. 9 were from my mother. The first voicemail began politely. "Ava, it's your mother. We're not going to let last night get out of hand." The next, "You don't understand the pressure we were under, your father. He thought it was best for everyone." The 6th message was broken. "You're not the only one who got hurt, you know?" I didn't respond. My sister Amelia texted instead. No greeting, no explanation, just a PDF attachment. "Cease and desist. Apparently, claiming your name is now grounds for defamation." Mia skipped the legal route and went straight to Instagram. A photo of her in a crisp white suit captioned, "Legacy isn't stolen, it's earned. We rise, not beg. Hashtag Fontana Strong." Thousands of likes. A very strategic comment stuck in my mind. "Funny how some people only show up when there's money involved." That was from my cousin Oliver. But none of that mattered, because 24 hours later, an anonymous folder appeared in a public office, Gala Fontana Internal. Inside were strings of emails, expense reports, requests for donations, Mia's signature on invoices linked to creative development consultants who didn't exist. Someone had leaked the skeletons, and it wasn't me. George Davis, or someone like him, had lit the match. I didn't have to fight. I just had to stand still and let their own fire find oxygen. And in the background, my mother's 12th voicemail. Please, Ava, they're talking about an investigation. Can you stop it? I press play and then delete. When I was 17, I used to scribble my name in notebooks, just to remember it was mine. Ava Lisa Fontana. Not that girl, not the one we don't talk about, not a line to be erased with red pen, just me. 9 years later, I registered it. Project Reborn. Not Fontana, not in partnership with, just Nora, a nonprofit for young women who have been erased by their own families, cast out, isolated, or conveniently forgotten. The website went live exactly 1 week after the gala. I didn't accept the board seat. I didn't respond to the press release they issued claiming the Fontana family is undergoing an internal realignment. I didn't respond to the message from the family's attorney offering a revised trust fund. I didn't want the seat. I wanted the silence that followed my name, to finally feel like it was power, not punishment. I took the key to my grandmother's cabin, hung it on a chain around my neck. I bought the property back, not as a Fontana heir, but as a private citizen. So I posted a single photo on the Renasser Project homepage, a gold bracelet, the one my father gave me when I was 13, engraved, Legacy First. Below it, I wrote, some legacies are built in silence, others are reclaimed in fire. No comments, no hashtags, no faces, just the words, because names can be taken. But identity is earned, and I didn't earn mine by being polite. I earned it by surviving erasure and spelling it louder than they ever thought I would. A month after the gala, the Fontana Foundation unveiled a new logo. No press release mentioned my name, no apology, just rebranding, realignment. That was their word. Mia stepped aside quietly. No scandal, just a personal refocus. My mother gave an exclusive interview to the Vermont Herald. She wore pale blue, sat in her formal living room, and said with a shaky smile, family is complicated, but we're healing. We've always been a healing family. I didn't correct her, didn't issue a statement, didn't need to. I was already gone, not hidden, not erased, just beyond reach. They could have the Fontana name. I had no interest in sharing a label with people who wore it like armor while sharpening knives behind it. My name, Ava, meant something again, and it meant more without them. I gave my grandmother's pearls to a girl named Noah, a scholarship recipient in the first Project Rebirth class. She called me Miss Fontana. I smiled, shook my head. Just Ava. That's what they never understood. I didn't want the throne. I didn't need their place at the table. I didn't care about applause in marble halls or handshakes from ghosts. I just wanted my voice back. And now that I had it, I didn't have to shout. I could whisper and the walls would still remember. The gala faded. The nameplate changed. The press moved on. But the silence remained. Not the kind they used to punish me, the kind I chose. Some nights I still wake up thinking I'm 17, that if I knock on the kitchen door, someone will answer. But they don't. And that's okay because I don't need the door to be open anymore. I built another one. Last week, I gave a talk at a local university. Not a big TED stage, just a modest auditorium with folding chairs and girls who took notes as if their lives depended on it. One raised her hand, nervously, brightly. How did you forgive them? I paused, then told the truth. I didn't. I just stopped asking them to explain who I am. That was always the problem. I was too loud to be obedient, too quiet to be heard, too inconvenient to be around. So they told a story in which I didn't exist, and I let them for a while. But silence has an expiration date, and mine came dressed in navy blue, standing under a chandelier, holding a document they thought would stay buried. They called me bitter, then they called me bold, but they never called me by my name, not until I forced them to read it aloud. So here it is. My name is Ava Lisa Fontana. And this was the final word that they never thought I would say. They erased me, so I came back with the final word. What would you do in Eva's place? Tell us in the comments below. If you liked this story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories.